Good morning, class. This is CMP121, Introduction to Problem Solving. It's going to be taken by Dr. A.S. Abdullahi. So let's look at the course content. The first week, we are going to look at our topic of discussion for this week is understanding the concept of problem solving. So in this case, we are going to look at basically what is problem solving, what are the characteristics of effective problem solving, and how do we recognize the importance of problem solving. So, what is problem solving? A problem solving is a process of finding a solution to a challenging or a complex issues. So if the problem at hand or the challenges or the issue at hand is not complex, like you want to find, for instance, what is the sum of three numbers. This might not be a complex issues that you need to systematically follow the problem solving techniques or steps. So you only apply this if the issue or the problem under consideration is a bit complex. For instance, if you want to develop an algorithm, you want a robot to sweep a classroom for you. This is a bit complex problems. When you want to solve this type of problem, you will need to, of course, look at the problem solving skill or the steps that are involved. You systematically follow it. Otherwise, you won't have a good solution. So, problem solving techniques, just note that we are only going to consider problem that defines as being complex, problem that does not have an easy solutions. So in those instances, you can look at the systematic approach of solving the problem using the problem solving techniques. Or you can so say it involves. So what are the processes? It involves the analyzing the problem, uh, identifying the problem, what are the potential solutions, and you select the most suitable uh, solution. So, in the course of your analysis, in most cases, you come to have multiple solution paths. So, you need to outline which solution is uh, uh, the best solution. So you adopt it. So the analysis. So in a typical problem solving techniques, in some literature, you could see that the problem solving techniques, which have just been highlighted in this slide, includes you identify the problems, you analyze the problem, you generate the solutions, evaluate the solution, implementing the solution, monitoring and adopting the solution, and reflecting and learning. So this are a systematic approach you can follow to solve any problem. So the first thing you do whenever there is an issue that you need to provide a solution to, the first thing is you analyze the problems. So in the analysis of the problem, what basically you need to do is to you define the problems, what's the scope of the problem, and what impact has this problem. So in most cases, most of the solution we provide are in a domain different from our domains. As a problem solver or as a computer scientist, you tend to solve problem. Most of the problem we solve are not in your specialized domain. So in that case, finding a solution, knowing the scope of the issue at hand involve a critical analysis, involve interacting with a team of experts, a team of stakeholders that who are going to benefit from the study. So in that case, you tend to understand the problem very well. Because if you don't fail to understand the problem, you might likely develop a solution that's will actually not solve the problem that is intended to. So at the end of the problem definitions, at the end of analysis, analyzing the problems, you at the end of it, what's technically maybe when you come to study software engineering processes or in your system analysis and design, at the end of your analysis, it is expected that you come up with you define the specification, you define what is exactly your client actually needs. And once you identify, you both parties, you, the problem solvers and the client agree that yes, this is the exact solutions that we actually need. At that point, both of you have an agreement, then you, the problem solver, you can go ahead to develop a solution for that problem. So at the end of it, if your client felt you didn't meet their requirement, you have a document that guides, yes, this is what you agree at the end. And based on that, this is my solution. So on the course of after analyzing your problem, after analyzing, defining, identifying your problem, analyzing it, the next thing is what you identify the potential solutions. Yes, in most cases, or in almost all cases, there is usually not a single path to solutions. There are many paths to solutions. So what solution do we have to take? We actually need to take the solution that give us the best result. So out of the multiple solutions you have, you need to identify which of the solutions that give the best solution. For instance, if you are to find probably the area of a triangles, you have many two or three different formula you can use to compute the area of a triangle. You can have a half base times the height. You have the one for isosceles triangles. So at the end of it, you look at the problem, you look at the various solutions, and you adopt one. Your adaptation for a particular type of solutions. The choice in most cases is not just for being simplicity or being familiar with that types of solutions. It should be that such solution you are about to take provide the best solutions. Other part is to select the most suitable one. Of course, when you identify the solutions, you choose which one has the best solutions. So at the end of this, you implement whatever solutions you identify. You implement the solutions. Uh, you uh, monitor. So implementation in this case, like a computer problems, implementation involve transforming the algorithm. Remember, at the ends of your analysis, you design, it is expected you come up with the algorithm. So implementation in this case is actually transforming the algorithm into any of the suitable programming language that is best suited to solve such a potential problem. So choosing a particular programming language for implementation is also a choice that you have to make very well, because some programming language are more suitable for some problems. Uh, Others are more fitted to some kind of a problem. So depending on the type of problem you want to solve, for instance, if you're involved in the analysis of data, in most cases, Python presents a very good solution when you're dealing with AI solutions. If it is just an applications, web-based application, you think of which programming language will be more suitable for that, and you adopt that. So having implement your solution at this point, you have your solution, you have your problem. Yeah, the problem is defined, the algorithm is well formulated, and the solution have been implemented. So at this point, you have a solutions in your desktop or in your environment where you attempt to provide these solutions. This might not be enough. this might not be enough. So probably in the course of your implementation, you conduct a text analysis, you text your solutions. And while texting, in most cases, your user text does not present, uh, uh, it's not enough to text to text or to prove all the errors that might occur or might result from your application. So you take it for changeover, for adoption. So you adopt it in whatever problem area you have developed the solution, and this data is first assessed using the real data. In most cases, when you attempt to implement it in a real scenario, you come to realize a lot of problem that you never envisaged. So in most cases, at this stage, it is still considered a development phase. So whatever it is, the problem you have encountered, you go back to look at the problem, you refine it until you have a software that is fully ready for your organizations. So uh, next, we look at the characteristics of effective problem solving. So, effective problem solving possess a critical thinking. Critical thinking involves a lot of things. You open-minded, so a critical thinker have to be what? Have to be open. Yes, open, ready to accept changes, ready to learn new things, and of course, he need to be very objective because there is no bias. You won't be biased. You look at things from the perspective of actually solving a particular problem. So you have to be very objective. So a critical thinker also need to be logical in their thinking. You need to be logical once a situation is presented. You look at it. Is it really when say okay tomorrow by 12 noon this will happen, all network will stop working. So as a critical thinker, you don't just go into believing such a solution. You don't just believe, go on to believe on such a mess. You have to look at it logically. What could be the possibility of this happening? And you look at it logically. And if yes, that is going to happen based on factor A, factor B, factor C, you accept it. So you don't just run into conclusion. You don't just run into conclusions. You have to be logical in your problem as solving. Look at things logically, and of course, you have to be evidence based. So your decisions, a critical thinker, whenever he's making a decisions, it is evidence based. Yes, when you say, okay, this student, for instance, the student you are admitting are not going to, or the student you are admitting to study computer science cannot cope up. So what is the evidence? If you must say that, that should be because factors A for that particular student, factor B, factor C, if you look at them together, having those attributes of factor, yes, this particular candidate cannot perform very well in computer science. So you can see that these are some of the attributes of a critical thinker. He look at things objectively, he look at things based on evidence. He don't just say things anyhow. Because if you don't possess this attribute, of course, you are bound not to be a greater problem solver. Remember, the world is full of problems, and we have been driven by this set of people that think every day objectively. They are open-minded, their inquisitiveness in thinking these solutions. Okay, part of the attributes of a critical thinker is that they are analytic and can break down. They are analytic in the sense that they look at problems. In computing generally, it is very difficult to look at problems holistically. So whenever a problem is presented to you, the best way to manage in providing the solution to this problem is to manage the problem. You broke the problem into smaller unit. And by breaking it into a smaller unit, it means you can provide a solution, many solution to each of the smaller part. And of course, at the end of it, you can create an interface that you integrate these solutions together, so that at the end you have a solution well manageable, very understandable. So a critical thinker also is very creative and can generate innovative solutions. Once you say, okay, this is a problem, uh, the problem, we normally have a shortage of electricity. So a critical thinker will always go to what is the causes, and at the end of it, he think holistically, he think objectively in order to generate or create a creative solution for that problem. So these are some of the attributes, or these are some of the characteristics of effective problem solving, or let's say the characteristic of a critical thinker, because problem solver, of course, is a critical uh, thinker. Okay, let's look at some recognizing the importance of problem solving. So we look at in the context of academics. In the context of academics, we're using a Python. This computer science. We're using a Python to demonstrate our demonstrate the solution to the problem being envisaged here. So we're looking at a Python program to solve a mathematical problem, such as finding the roots of quadratic equations. So you're given a problem of finding the root of quadratic equation, knowing that yes, a quadratic equation from the theoretical perspective, it's made up of three unknown variables, often referred to as the B, and C, where A, of course, is the coefficients of the S square, B is the coefficients of X, and then C represent the constant. So in finding the root of a quadratic equation, it is expected that at the end of it, we normally have two roots of the quadratic equation, and whichever one you use for that equation that is being presented by, we popularly call the almighty formula, you will be able to, it will all give you the desired result. Well, looking at the fundamental principles of mathematics, that the denominator cannot be zero. I mean, the almighty formula we're going to use is the square root of b square is minus b square, b square minus 4 ac. So it is in the square root, and knowing that you don't have the square root of a negative number is is impossible. It's not defined, or it's not possible. And because of that, you need to what to find a variable. So we define the variable as the discriminant. So find the value of the discriminant. So if the discriminant, of course, which is the square root of b square minus 4ac, if this discriminant is greater than or equal to 0, we can go ahead to find the roots of the equations, which is going to give us x1 and x2. But if the roots of the discriminant, if the discriminant is less than 0, it means you have a complex solution. So you can't, based on mathematical logic and principle. So we check for the discriminant, as you can see. So this, in this case, our A is equal to 2, B is equal to minus 5, and C is equal to 2. So we find the discriminant. So as can be seen, there's B squared, B to the power of 2 minus 4AC. Remember, this is for us to understand the concept of problem solving skills. Remember, for this course, we'll be having, when we're going for our normal classes, we going to take from there, we begin with understanding take the practicals of understanding the basics of Python, so that we can use Python as our language in studying this course. Well, it's going to begin with the basics of the Python, and I believe our practical in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, the the schedule for the practical will be published so that we can use computer resources to further understand this solution. So having find the discriminant, and we found that the discriminant, of course, is greater than or equal to 0, we will now find the root. Our root, of course, is minus b plus the square root of the discriminant, which is represented in as can be seen on the screen. So this is following the semantics of the Python. So we're using Python. So at the end of it, we print the root of the quadratic equation. So this is a problem solving, because if you don't have that background, if you don't have the knowledge, the fact that the content, you can't have a square root of a negative number. You write this program, and at the end of it, based on the logic of mathematics, you continue to have an error. But the fact that no, you have a mathematical knowledge of the fact that yes, the discriminant, which is the square root of a number, should not be less than 0. So these are techniques, these are what involve you being a critical thinker, finding a solution. Your client might not really know what is happening here. So we'll consider another example in a professional context. In a professional context, for instance, we're using a Python program to analyze data and make informed decision. So if you look at this code, what is summary? What in a professional context, like in a business setup, you're selling many products. You can have your programs, or your client might need to, we want to know the average sale of each product, or what is the average sale, or what is the sale of each product for each month of of the year. So in this case, at the end of it, you could make a decision or infer from this that this particular product sell more in this month. So going by other years, and if you have this data for a very large period of time, what it means is it could be okay from January or from March, this particular product sell more. So let's invest more on this type of a product. You can see how these problem solving are used in actually profiling solutions, or are used to solve our day-to-day problem. So in this other case, we have a real life example, everyday example. You're using a Python program to find the best route for your trip. You want to go to Kaduna, for instance. You have a choice of passing through Abuja to AYA to Zuba, and you go to Kaduna. Of course, you can pass through Gidan Wire from Kefi, and you can also go through Akwanga to Forest, and then you find your way to Kaduna. So in all this, which route presents the best solution? Of course, considering the insecurity around us, the shortest path might not be very secured. So this might inform your decision on which route to pass through. So all these are will be put into consideration, and then at the end of it, you choose the appropriate route. So based on some factors, what is the distance from the points A from the on point to the destinations? What are the other factors? The traffics, the security consideration along those paths. And if you want to consider the traffic, how do you identify that this particular road has more traffic? Because your system must have something that will communicate along the traffic route. So some solution adopt the use of mobile phones. So looking at the GPS of four along that line, so you must have to find what is it that you will use to determine the traffic congestion. What is this you're going to use to determine the security? Security, you can use the historical data to analyze how safety a particular route. So depends on how you critically look at it, and you profile your solution along that line. So in conclusion, understanding the concept of problem solving and recognizing it important are the first step in becoming effective problem solver. Whether in academics, the professional world, or everyday life, problem solving combine tools like Python empower us to tackle a wide range of challenges successfully. Throughout this course, we'll further develop and apply this skill to various scenarios and problems. So, as a take home, we'll look at it, we'll study it. This will also further, if we provide a solution, answer to this question, it will further enhance our understandings of the cause. So, what are the problem steps of problem solving? You identify them, you look at what is involved in each of the steps, taking into account the fact that discussing food security in numerous events often include predicting a country crop production. Analyze this deeply, and by methodically use a problem solving process, provide a solution. So look at this, we have given a problem, you are predicting you're predicting crop yields, considering the fact food security that is trying to attain a food level that's a country or a given particular location uh, equally needs or have what they need. So it has been observed that predicting the crop yields for that location is a very significant. So you look at the problem in this context and you look at what are the steps and you apply it to this particular scenario. So the next one is you investigate and explain how diverse professions, including science, engineering, business, and healthcare, may employ different problem solving skills. So we are looking at it on the basis of science and engineering. So we encourage you to look at the problem solving in terms of the healthcare and in businesses in providing solution to this. So thank you. We see you guys by next week.